What is up, PreMed stars? Dr. Dale, the author of How to Raise a Doctor and the author of PreMed Mondays. And of course, you're listening to the PreMed Mondays mentoring podcast. Super excited to get into this week's topic. We will be talking about the 5 keys to choosing your classes. 5 keys to choosing your classes. Some good stuff in here, important stuff a lot of pre-meds don't think about. So check it out. Happy Monday, PreMed Star. I'm very excited to get my week going with you on this podcast. I hope you guys are pumped and ready to take on this week. School is back in session, so hopefully you're back in the groove of things. You're kind of getting your routine and you're ready to go. Let's take this week on together, all right? So a couple of announcements before I get into this week's topic. First thing I'm going to say is don't forget to register for the webinar. We have a webinar with West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine. It's going to be this upcoming Thursday, September 6th. At 8 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you're there. I'll put the link down low below so you can just click on that link and it'll take you to the registration page for that webinar. Great stuff, important stuff. We set these webinars up for you guys so you have the opportunity to ask the questions that otherwise you won't be able to ask. I haven't been a pre-med myself. I know what it's like. So sometimes it's difficult to get in touch with these type of people, these recruiters, these admission committee members, and so on. So we bring those people to you from time to time, all right? So make sure you take advantage, register for the webinar, show up. It's going to be some great stuff there, all right? Second announcement I want to make is next week, Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to go ahead and put PreMed Mondays back up for free on Amazon. So the Kindle version. So if you didn't get a chance to grab it, if you haven't bought it, go ahead next week, Monday, put a reminder in your calendar right now. And I'll try to make sure I say it again on next week's podcast, but put a reminder in your calendar so you can grab a copy of that book. All right. So let's get into this week's topic, right? So last week we talked about keys to choosing your major, and I thought that stuff was extremely important. And thank you for the feedback, those of you who reached out to me for that last week. This week, we're kind of piggybacking off of that. So this week, we're talking about the 5 keys to choosing your classes. So now you're in a position, hopefully you paid attention to what we talked about and you've got a good, solid major that fits you. Now, the question is, how do I pick the right classes? And that might seem really easy at first, but a lot of stuff goes into choosing the right classes. It's not just always as easy as, hey, what is everybody else in my major taking? You have to put some thought into this because you're going on to medical school and you want to make sure that you're well prepared for medical school. Not just that you took your prerequisites, but also you're well prepared. You've taken core classes and things of that sort. So I'm going to give you guys 5 tips for choosing your classes. All right. So the very first one is simple. Meet with your pre-med advisor. And you want to do this early. At the end of every semester, at the start of every semester, be thinking, do I need to meet with my pre-med advisor? And it's really critical because what happens sometimes is people skip this step. And then you get halfway into the semester and you realize, oh, I messed up. I shouldn't have done this. And that's such an easy mistake to avoid if you just talk to the right people ahead of time. So your pre-med advisors are there for a reason. They're there to help you get into medical school. So take advantage of the information that they have, the knowledge, the wisdom, because most of them have seen this before. Most of them are good advisors, right? I know everybody's not going to be a great pre-med advisor. I get it, right? You can't control everybody. But by and large, most of them have your best interest in mind, and they're actually out there trying to help you do this, and they've done it before for other people. So it's as simple as saying, hey, should I be taking this class? They can say yes or no. And I also get it. A lot of you guys come to us and say, hey, we don't have pre-med advisors at our school. That's okay. That's why we have, the community here, PreMed Star, to help you out, right? Just make sure you take advantage, find the right people to talk to about, what kind of classes should I be taking, right? So that's the first step. Very simple. Meet with your pre-med advisor. That's basic, right? That's pre-med 101. I'm going to flip my page here. So the second thing I think is a really cool strategy. And most pre-meds I talk to don't even think about stuff like this. So consider a few schools that you might be interested in going to and look up those particular classes ahead of time. So even if you're a freshman or sophomore, have an idea. Say, I live in Texas, so I use Texas schools as an example. I might say, hey, I'm interested in going to UTMB in Galveston or UT Southwestern or Texas A&M, UT, whatever school it is. I'm interested in going to these schools. So I'm going to go onto your website. I'm going to see what classes they require because all medical schools aren't all going to require the same exact classes all the time, right? Some of them might say, hey, take calculus. Some might say statistics is enough. So you have to know your particular schools that you are really interested in, know what classes they require ahead of time. And some of them might even have suggested classes, okay? And even if you can't find this information on the website, feel free, you can call the school and just say, hey, I'm taking these courses. I'm interested in your school. I'd like to apply to your school. Are there any other courses that you guys typically recommend? And whoever picks up the phone may or may not know, but they can point you in the direction of who can answer that question for you, whether it's the medical students or somebody else in the admissions committee, right? But think about a few schools you might be interested in attending. And I know you can't see the future, so you don't know if you'll be going there for certain. But just say, let me look up those particular schools' requirements and see what I need to do about my schedule to make sure I meet those requirements and recommended courses. All right. So the next one is balance your course load appropriately. And this one right here is an absolute killer for pre-medical students. See this time and time again. Students come back and say, Dr. Dale, I didn't do that great of a job this semester because I was taking 20 credit hours. Well, my first thing I'll say to you is, why did you take 20 credit hours? For the most part, 15 credit hours is solid. If you're taking 15 hours, boom, that's solid. That's where you need to be at, right? For the difficult semesters, if you're getting ready for the MCAT or something, you can drop it down to 12 hours, right? If you want to really push hard and go really, really all the way full force for one semester, then you can take 18 hours. But if you're getting above 18 hours, you are just making life extremely difficult for yourself. And I get it. Sometimes there might be reasons you might be on a budget or something of that sort. But keep in mind, these grades all matter. These grades are going to be showing up when you apply to medical school. If you're taking 20 credit hours when maybe you could have taken 15 and got a 4.0 instead of getting the 3.0, that's a big difference. So whenever you can, make sure you're balancing your course load appropriately. And besides the credit hours, it's not just about the absolute number of credit hours. Also think, which classes am I taking with which classes, right? You don't need to be taking 4 difficult classes at one time. You don't need to be trying to take organic chemistry 2, physics 2, biochem 2, all those difficult classes at one time. Spread it out. Have a strategy that you've laid out for your courses when you're going to take what. That's critical, okay? I think most people who talk to your advisors get that part down, but the part that becomes more challenging for whatever reason is people still want to take too many credit hours. And I think what it is sometimes we get confident and say, I got this. I did well last semester. I can go in there and take 20 credit hours. Well, maybe you can't. But if you don't have to, there's no point in risking the grade for it. So that's what my recommendation would be for that. Really balance your credit hours. 15, boom, that's the sweet spot right there. When you get ready for the MCAT, if you're studying during your academic time during the semester, drop it down to 12 if you can, right? And then take that time to really study, do well, knock the MCAT out, get the grades in your class at the same time. But man, when you're getting above 18 credit hours, that's tough. That's tough, okay? The next one, point number 4, is talk with upperclassmen. And this is pretty self-explanatory. You want to talk to people who have done it before. You want to talk to people who have taken the classes that you're interested in taking for a variety of reasons. But one of the most obvious reasons is that you want to know how the professors are. And I know there's websites out there to tell you that stuff, but there's still nothing quite like going to somebody and just talking to them and saying, hey, you took this class. Let's sit down and chat. You tell me what it was really like. Some professors are great. Some professors are horrible. You need to know who the great ones are and know who the horrible ones are and make sure you're getting in the right classes. I'll tell you, when I was a pre-medical student, we would specifically skip semesters for a course because we wanted to make sure we got the right teacher that would help us get to the next level. So do better on the MCAT to get into medical school. Figure out which teachers are good at preparing you for the MCAT and preparing you for medical school and get in those classes, right? Figure that out early and get in those classes, okay? And again, a benefit which is similar to a benefit from the last point, which was, look up the schools you're interested in and figure out what the classes are. But when you talk to upperclassmen, you can also figure that out as well. So they might tell you, hey, I'm applying to this school and these are the classes that they recommend. And also they could say, hey, I took medical microbiology and it's helped me out a lot. It's going to be great for med school. Or I have a buddy who's in med school who told me to take anatomy or medical microbiology. So they'll give you these tips that otherwise might be a little bit more difficult to come across, okay? So definitely take advantage of people who are slightly ahead of you who can drop back and give you some feedback, okay? And the 5th one is have some fun. I talked about this last week again when talked about choosing a major, but just simply have some fun. I always talk about how my wife took a class self-defense when she was a pre-medical student. It has nothing to do with medicine, right? But she took, actually, I guess it could have something to do with medicine. Sometimes patients could be hostile. But she said, hey, I want to take self-defense. So she took self-defense. There was a particular music class we're interested in, so we took it together, actually. So, I just like that class. So I'm going to take this class. And And again, college might be the last time you get to go out there and take random classes and learn about random things. So take advantage of it, right? Nowadays, I go to work and I see my patients and I spend time, with my family. I do tons of work with PreMed Star and things of that sort. But I can't just say, I'm going to go sit down in this class for 3 hours this week and learn about the history of golf or, whatever it is that I might want to listen to, all right? So take advantage of that. Have some fun while you're in college, okay? So that's what I've got for you guys this week. 5 tips to choose your classes. And before I go, let me get my book out one more time and figure out what this week's challenge is. So here it is, this week's challenge. I want you to figure out what the prerequisites are of a state school that you're interested in, and then write them down for your future reference. So go online, look at the school you're interested in, see what the prereqs are, and write them down so you know. All right? That's your assignment for this week. Make sure you share that with your accountability buddy. Make sure you guys are staying together and you're holding each other up and making sure that you guys are going to make it to medical school together. All right, so you guys know where to find me, PreMedStar.com. Shoot me a message if you have any questions whatsoever. Remember, next Monday, put a reminder on your calendar and tell all your friends. Go on Amazon.com. We're going to be putting out PreMed Mondays for free for 2 days. You guys can get it. Email your PreMed club and make sure everybody gets a copy while it's free on there, okay? And mark your calendar for the webinar as well. September 6th, 8 p.m., West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine will be joining us for this webinar. So be there. I'll see you guys there. I'll be there. I'll be watching. And it's going to be a great event, all right? Love you guys. I will see you on PreMedStar.com.